Hi, today I'm going to share with you a laser engraving fill technique that gives you changing colors based on the lighting and the angle. Very shiny, very glitzy, and you can do it all with inexpensive materials from Amazon. Hi, welcome to Gray Lightning, my video blog about making things and playing games. And one of my favorite video games that I'm playing right now is called Marvel Midnight Suns. And this is the motif from that game. This is the logo, this nice sun. And I thought I'd like to do a project with that. That would make good coasters. That's what I said. So I made a set of coasters. These are cut and engraved out of birch laminate, so they're shiny on both sides. I do put these little silicone feet on the bottom to keep it from slipping on the table. And what makes these special is all about the color fill technique that I experimented with to make these. So this is done by putting black resin into the engraving, and then when it's tacky, dusting it with a very light coat of chameleon flakes. Now you can buy chameleon flakes in sets on Amazon. The one I got had 5 little pots of color in it. Each one of these coasters is done in a different color from that set. But each color from the set has at least 2 different colors it changes to based on the angle of the light and the angle that you're looking at. So it's really a spectacular effect, and it's quite easy to do, and I'll show you how I did it in this episode. The design was very simple. I just grabbed the motif out of the middle of this logo, ran an image trace on it, which I can because it's black and white. Then I put that in the middle of a 4-inch square with curved corners. I pull it into light burn and say arrange using the grid, and that's how I get my 4. I ran a test of this technique, of course, and I started out using birch plywood. My test pieces turned out pretty well except for one problem, and that's that the black resin was bleeding into the wood. You can see the little black lines spreading to the right from the design. I had 2 solutions to this. One is that I switched from plywood to the laminate, and I also started masking. This is the clear resin I used. I only used about 1 ounce out of 32 ounces. The pricing for this today on Amazon is $55, but that's $1.50 worth of resin. You mix it the standard way. You mix clear resin. It's 50% resin, 50% hardener. So you put equal parts in, so I've got about 1/2 ounce of each, and then you stir them for a couple of minutes. You want to make sure they're completely mixed. Then I add black dye. This dye I bought on Amazon for $7, and I started out just putting 1 drop in and mixing it up. After seeing it wasn't quite as opaque as I wanted it to be, I added a 2nd drop and mixed that in. And now you can see it looks pretty opaque. Many different iridescent effects work better on a black background. Now I'm going to use a pipette and suck up some of the resin and start laying it into the design. Now, resin is self-leveling, but because the surface of the engraving is rough, you really have to help it along. So I use a metal stylus and kind of scrub it into the directions I want it to move. Once that path is established, it will do its self-leveling over time. The real trick is to make sure that you don't put too much resin in. You can always go back and add a little more. The key is to just take your time. It takes about 7 minutes to do 1 coaster. Now, usually the last step on resin is to use a heat gun or a torch to pop the bubbles, but I found that that really was not necessary for these coasters. The layer is so shallow it has no problem getting rid of its bubbles. When you're finished, you cover them with a box or something so that little particles don't float down and adhere to the resin while it's drying. I checked on them every hour to see if they were tacky, and it took 4 hours to reach that stage. I paid $17 for this kit of chameleon flakes on Amazon. The way I applied them is I just pounced them on with a small brush until the surface was completely covered, and then all the tackiness was gone, and I could just use the brush and really brush all the little leftovers back onto the edges of the design. I'm wearing a mask while doing this. Then I removed the masking, and this is how it looks. You can see it's shifting between a vivid blue and a pink. There's one more step of cleanup after this. Let me show you the other colors. This is like a lime green and a blue, and you can see how beautiful that is when you see the color shift. I really love this one. I think it's what they call fuchsia, but it goes between like a purple and a gold. Fuchsia and gold. But there's blue in there too. This is the one where I really see 3 different colors in the finished product. It's got pink, blue, and green. It's really fabulous. At this point, you just set these away somewhere safe and you let them cure for at least 24 hours till they're totally hard. I used Goo Gone on a Q-tip to do a final cleanup. Here's a static shot of the 4 from the top. They kind of look like 2 green and 2 blue, but then here they are on an angle and they're transformed. I have lots of other great projects I'm working on. If you're interested, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications.